отдыхаем. Меня ракет тоже устала. О, Господи.
Как вы думаете, поднимутся акции, если акции поднимутся, можно будет их продать? На Discord зайти. Discord.
Подселяется. Подселяется, охотник ловит жертву.
Через 4 минуты начало прямой трансляции Astra.
Чекпоинт. И чё, и куда мы? И чё мы будем? А как вот делать? Камень, почему? Блин, не понимаю. О, блин. Ты орёшь. Больно, что ли? Блин, ну беда мне. Там нету камней, чтобы добираться. Вот.
5,5.
Она же сдохнет, да?
Акции начали расти вверх. Чем ближе время к началу трансляции, тем больше акций вырастают.
Ну, еще 3 минуты, быстро время прошло.
Ну да. Пока установили, пока зашли, пока чуть поиграли. Ну, 51. М, 5,5. Мне надо 5,6. Еще на 10 центов, если поднимется, это будет шоколадно. Погнали, погнали. Если директор на борту, тогда я спокоен. О, ля, прям расти начали. Которого ты тогда смотрел?
К счастью, Astra попросила и, скорее всего, и даже заплатила за то, чтобы Astra Space Flight не мочила всех других, которые делают рестрим. И вот у нас, получается, есть с вами возможность вот так вот посидеть. 5-16 иксов не избежать, прикупилось 1000 штук. Казах, давай колдуй ракету.
Ля, акции полетели в воздух.
Совместная работа, давайте все колдовать. Я же, видите, надо заправить еще. Майка,
даже...
надо пульсяном на следующий запуск.
Мы сказали на прошлом этом сделать, чтобы он вывел на стрим.
Давайте только вы где-нибудь это. Кстати,
А
вот
курс?
у меня есть телеграм, да, что
Курс?
Да, он не смог вот это сделать.
Залетайте, подписывайтесь, выкладывайте свои фотографии с этими майками. Очень много людей, которые говорят, что полетит, потому что в субботу они что-то там нахимичили, потом они, скорее всего, что-то еще. И вот, когда позавчера у нас была попытка...
Блин, 5,57. Акции значительно начали повышать вверх. Пять, 6.
Окей, спасибо.
5,6 уже.
Рост. Про Якутию что знаешь? Про Якутию знаю, что там холодно, она большая.
5,61.
Одна из самых больших территорий Российской Федерации. Ну наконец-то скриптонит. Да, я лучше знал.
Я Галю пережил. Ух ты.
Кого еще знаете? Ну, Ланска знаете, еще и Азамата.
Так, стопы.
Летит же ракета, нет, уже взлетела, нет, она еще не взлетела, она еще стоит, она готова ко всему, что ей сегодня выпустить на нее алюминиевую долю. Ракета у нас двухступенчатая, 5 двигателей на первой ступени, одна на второй, один двигатель на второй. Керосиновая, кислородная.
Дойдет или не дойдет 5,65?
То есть там вот эти вот насосы или нагнетатели.
О, реклама. Поставлю 5,65, пусть продастся за 5,65. Начинается трансляция.
У него, значит, тормозит.
В общем, 2 года, примерно 2 года.
Так, она сейчас так хорошенько выросла. И так хорошенько, блядь, упала. 5,59. Давай, вырасти 5,5. Куда посыпалась? Да, сделай тише, либо наушники.
А что?
Ну, у меня микрофон включен, и меня задваивается.
Hello and welcome everybody. You are looking live at Launch Vehicle 0008 on the pad in Cape Canaveral, Florida at Space Launch Complex 46. Astra is just under 60 minutes away from conducting a launch for NASA to deploy 4 CubeSat payloads into low Earth orbit on the NASA Elena 41 mission. This is the third launch attempt for Astra and Astra's first mission from Cape Canaveral. We are coming to you live today both from Cape Canaveral,
Блять,
Florida,
было
and
же
Astra's
5,6.
headquarters in Alameda,
Чё я не...
California. My name is Thomas
А,
Parker. I'm the
5,6.
news director for NASA Spaceflight, and I'm joined by Carolina Grossman, director of product management at Astra. Carolina, thank you for joining me once again today.
Thanks for having me again, Thomas.
Опять они, блин.
Always a pleasure. We will be bringing
Кто
you this
заруинил
live
нам?
coverage of today's mission
61.
as we have previously. Astra and NASA Spaceflight are once again partnering to bring this livecast to you, so thank you to Astra
Чё,
for working with us
взлетит
to
за...
make that happen.
Как
And
думаешь?
also, as usual, we will be taking your questions throughout the course of the broadcast. So if you have a
Yeah.
question about
Да.
today's mission, please tag us with @NASA Spaceflight in the chat. We're going to be bringing those in through
Некуда
Michael's
деваться, они
City
уже столько
software,
раз
and
ее
we'll be
переносят.
asking as many of those as we can throughout the course of the broadcast. Right now, we're at T-minus 57 minutes and counting. So Carolina, let's start off with a status update. What are the teams working on as we proceed towards liftoff?
Sure, Thomas. As you can see, that middle third of the rocket
Oh,
is
кстати.
nice frosty white as propellant load is ongoing onto the vehicle. And all things are looking nominal. And you can see it's also a beautiful day in Cape Canaveral. We
погода
are not
хорошая.
tracking any weather
Ну, у них
issues at this
солнечно,
time.
вон.
So we are going to proceed through our countdown with a T0 time in 56 minutes and 30 seconds.
Говорю, вон солнечная.
Space Launch Delta 45 and the 45th Weather Squadron predicted a greater than 90% chance of favorable weather today, and as you can see on your screen, that has definitely played out. Crystal clear skies, hoping for some amazing visuals from today's launch. Liftoff is also on track for the opening of today's window, which is 3
Ну да, до
o'clock
запуска.
p.m. Eastern Time, which is again just about 56 minutes from now. And this mission is the first from Cape Canaveral for Astra.
У них
It's
там
launching from
день.
Space Launch Complex 46, which is on the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. On board this rocket are also the 4 satellites which Astra aims to deploy after a successful orbital launch. Those 4 payloads are part of NASA's ELENA program, the Educational Launch of Nanosatellites program. The mission is designated ELENA 41, also designated the VCLS Demo 2
Когда
mission
выздоровеешь?
for the
Когда
Venture
выздоровлю,
Class
тогда
Launch Service
выздоровлю.
program, which aims to provide dedicated launch services for small satellites like these CubeSats. 3 of the CubeSats are provided by different universities, the University of Alabama, Tuscaloosa, New Mexico State University, as well as
Титров, да?
Berkeley. And then the 4th payload is direct from the NASA.
Как это?
Once
Титры,
again, all
субтитры?
EU-sized CubeSats on board. And those are the payloads on board Astra's first mission to deploy payloads into orbit, like I said. And as Carolina mentioned, no weather or technical issues right now. The countdown is proceeding. Over the course of the broadcast, we'll also keep you updated how
Блин,
that
продали
countdown
больше,
is
чем
proceeding
купили,
with
суки.
any updates as needed. This mission does build off of the first successful orbital launch from Astra, which was the LV-0007 test flight out of Kodiak Island, Alaska. And let's take a look at a quick recap, which shows how Astra got to today.
10,
Валяйся.
9, 8, 7,
Это что, предыдущий запуск показывает?
4, 1, 0.
О, полетела ракета. Да. И все хлопают. Ну, кто запускал, показывает трансляцию, как она полетела. Полетела!
Ether confirms good startup. Seco.
And Astra's LV-0007 has
English,
successfully reached
English.
orbit. There is a new orbital rocket.
Сейчас перезагрузим.
На Wildberries новые бутсы Adidas Predator Edge с технологией Zone Skin.
A vice president of product management at Astra. Heyman, thank you so much for joining the live broadcast today.
Thanks so much, Thomas. It's great to be here.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about what you do at
Почему
Astra.
субтитры
and how you
нельзя,
contribute to the
блядь?
team. So your role is vice president of product management at Astra. What are your responsibilities in that role?
Yeah, great question. So I'm part of the product management team at Astra, and you've met Carolina Grossman, one of the stars of our team. Overall, the product management team is really all about answering the question of what is the right thing for Astra to build next. And that's based on understanding what the market is deeply, understanding what our customers need, and understanding what we can build.
Какой-то
You can
новый
imagine
этот
that that's a
чувак
very
тут рассказывает
complex
что-то.
activity. But fundamentally, it's about charting that course forward. For a few different things. One would be our North Star vision for the products that we're building, and the roadmap of releases that, in step-by-step, get us there towards that North Star vision.
You mentioned this being sort of a cross, a cross kind of capability where you have to work with other people. Do you work closely with the engineering and operations teams when you're developing these new products?
Yeah, absolutely. Engineering and operations are two very, very critical elements of the company to engage with in answering these questions, but also so many others. I think of program management, think of production, sales, mission management, finance, regulatory, spaceports. So many. There's a long list of internal and external stakeholders that every one of them has an important piece of the puzzle in understanding what is the right thing to build next that makes the most progress towards our vision for Astra.
Well, when aiming to grow your teams in order to pursue that Astra's kind of overall overarching goal as a company, what kind of skill sets and backgrounds are you looking for to join the product management team to achieve those goals?
Yeah, great question. And we're actually hiring very aggressively right
Ну
now.
чё ты падаешь
looking to
опять,
dramatically
блядь?
grow the product management team this year, and as we expand the scope of what we're building at Astra. So your question is a good one. I think there are a few key skills that we really
5,6.
look for. I would highlight four. The first one is customer obsession. We were really looking for people who are obsessed with understanding who the customers are and what their problems are and how we can help solve those problems. And then bring those insights to the rest of the team as part of our product development process. Second thing I would highlight is it's important to have
Давай,
a combination
продавайся.
of technical fluency and business thinking. So product managers in this process, as you can tell, are really a bridge between the business side of Astra and the technical side of Astra. And so it's important to be able to work and speak equally well with both. Third one is ability to learn fast. You can see on the pad today, our launch system, our most celebrated product at Astra, is really the first of its kind. There are no other container shippable rockets, and what we're doing is a first in so many different ways. So everybody in the product team
Ну, в этот раз ракета
really
должна
has to be
полететь,
able to learn
поэтому
fast about new technologies,
хотелось
new
бы.
markets, new types of businesses. And then the last
О,
thing I would say
5,63,
is
ничего себе.
ability to bring people together, ability to convene,
5,62.
to influence, to really align a broad cross-functional team around a vision for the product, a thing we're trying to do in the world, and then
Давай
ship
расти
that,
вверх.
to work together to bring that into reality.
Не-не-не-не, вверх.
And, so these 4 key skills are intrinsics we look for, and we have great people in our team right now. In terms of backgrounds, I would say that
Воу-воу-воу-воу.
product managers
Продажи
in
пошли.
aerospace are a bit of a rare breed. It's not really a traditional role. So there isn't any cookie cutter formula for background. Certainly, people who have had product management experience at other companies that build mixed hardware and software products, they will have had an opportunity to build many of these intrinsic skills we're talking about. So that's a great background. But also, it doesn't have to be that. And also, it doesn't have to be any particular
Давай, ну куда
industry.
падаешь?
At Astra today, we already have a very diverse range of backgrounds at Astra. People have come from automotive, from big tech,
Черные продажи,
aerospace,
покупки, продажи.
all sorts of different industries, and we hugely value that. It's really an important part of the magic at Astra about building something that's fundamentally different as a new future for the
Нету
space industry.
переводчика.
And so that team, which comes from all of
Тут
those
титры
different
не
diverse
работают.
backgrounds and experiences, is all coming into Astra to achieve Astra's kind of, or aim towards Astra's long-term goal of improving life on Earth and from space. How does today's mission, the LV0008 mission, and your work in the product management team work towards achieving that goal?
Yeah, great question. And I love this question. It can never be asked too many times. I think, big picture, a really important step in improving life on Earth from space is to develop the scientific understanding and the scalable technologies that we'll need to build something really useful in space, the next generation of space-based services. That's really what I see as the theme of today's mission in a few different ways. And the 4 satellites that we're launching today from 3 awesome university teams and NASA's Johnson Space Center. The way I look at it, the 4 satellites we're launching today advance 2 broad goals. The first one is to help scale up our use of space, and the second is to do that more sustainably. So on the first theme,
О, куда
scaling up,
упало-то так, а?
the first one I'll highlight is the
556.
R5S1 mission from NASA Johnson Space Center. They're really demonstrating a faster and cheaper way to build CubeSats, and simultaneously testing out new ways to get better data on how satellites are operating on orbit. This is very useful diagnostic information for scaling things up. The second payload that fits in this sort of theme of scaling up is the
Не, сегодня по-любому должна
Q
полететь.
from the University of California, Berkeley, and they're testing out a new kind of quantum gyroscope. A gyroscope is a critical element of every satellite on orbit that helps the satellite understand where it's pointed and where it is. And making these, this quantum gyroscope is one potential path to smaller, lighter, and cheaper gyroscopes. That's another way to scale things up in space. Overall, these 2 give us new ways to make cheaper and more scaled satellites. On that second theme, though, on sustainability, I would say that the first one, the BAMA-1 mission from the University of Alabama, Tuscaloosa, will test a new drag sail, which is a bit like, you can think of it like a parachute in space. Now, to really improve life on Earth from space, we need to be able to safely operate thousands of satellites in low Earth orbit. And an important part of that is to be able to very reliably bring satellites down when they've either failed or otherwise reached the end of their life. A drag sail is one prominent solution to that problem, part of the suite of solutions. And the BAMA-1 mission is taking a really important next step in the development of this technology. The final payload I'll highlight is the Inca mission from the New Mexico State University Las Cruces. They're using a neutron spectrometer to take a new kind of measurement of space weather, to better understand space weather.
Как обычно, много пиздежа.
Now, maybe many people in our audience don't think about space weather every day. What this really is to recognize that our sun is a dynamic and powerful force that's constantly emitting a stream of high-energy particles towards the Earth. And that bombardment of the Earth creates a space version of weather that satellites need to fly through and operate in. Turns out that it's really important for satellites to
Твой
account for
телефон?
this and for us to understand what they need to be designed for.
Кусает,
space
что ли?
weather. Just this
Жрать
week,
поросит.
for example, in the news, we saw a large number of satellites
Всем
lost
восстание
on
хоть
orbit
посмотрите.
purely due to the impact of space weather. So
Опять
what the
6.
Commission is doing is really on an important topic to understand and better predict space weather. I'd say as sort of a backdrop to all of this,
Не
there's
понял.
something a bit here for Astra, which is the
Чё
launch
там
today
вновь вышло?
is Astra's next step in expanding access to space. Why do we care about that? Well, this is exciting for us because easier access to space means more great student teams and researchers flight testing new technologies on orbit. It means more entrepreneurs building valuable space services on orbit. And it means more governments and institutions building systems that benefit everybody in the world from space. And I think from my own days as a student at MIT, I've seen firsthand how awesome the innovations can be driven by a team of students and researchers at a university lab. And but historically, it hasn't been very easy to get those things into space, to flight test them. And so that's why, for me, it's such a huge honor today to be watching us give an opportunity to fly payloads in space from these great student and researcher teams. And so I'm very excited to see them fly and to see Astra take its next step in expanding access to space.
Кто-нибудь, блядь,
Absolutely. Hey, Mark,
покупает
thank you so
или
much
все
for
только
joining us.
продавать
Loved
умеют?
hearing all that insight
Сейчас
into
вообще
both
акции
today's mission
упадут.
and your role in the product management team. So thank you so much for taking some questions with us and hanging out.
Thanks
Что
so
за
much,
глобальные
Jens.
продажи пошли?
All right, let's go ahead and listen into activity on the countdown net as the countdown proceeds at T-minus 43 minutes and counting.
О, блин, 5,5. Теперь просто ракету показывают. Одно дело запустить ее, а другое дело, чтобы она долетела.
Okay, per step 105, Tango and AV1 manage polling. Please toggle do both ground and guidance polling mode.
Toggling do both ground and guidance polling.
Ракет опять без маски.
And Tango, I'd like you to re-enable pump battery charging by going into machine, pump battery 2, manage pump batteries, and setting mode 3, reset machine.
Toggling 3, reset machine.
And then mode 1, charge pump batteries.
Toggling 1, charge pump batteries.
Чего все застыло? Или это у меня залагало? 5,56, зараза.
So we just listened in on some countdown steps being proceeded. Again, everything on track right now. We're at just under 42 minutes and counting for today's launch. Again, targeted for 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Like we said, we want to take some questions from chat over the course of today's broadcast. So again, if you've got questions, tag us with @NASA Spaceflight, and we're going to be bringing a couple of those in, and we got a few of them here now. Keith is asking about the last launch that Astra conducted, the LV0007 mission. What was the goal and achieved objectives of that mission, Carolina?
Yes, so the LV0007 launch in November, we saw the video of it just a few minutes ago. If you joined us at the beginning of the broadcast, that was our attempt to reach orbit. We have constantly been working towards that milestone, and LV0007 successfully reached orbit with a test payload on board. And so that test payload on board LV0007 was not deployed. So today's mission, LV0008, represents a few firsts, one of them being that this is the first Astra mission with payloads that we will deploy into space, as you just heard a lot about these exciting CubeSats and the scientific investigations that they will conduct. And it's also our first launch out of Cape Canaveral, so it's a couple of historic firsts for Astra with today's launch, and we are very excited to see how it goes.
And a related question, Arda is asking if Astra can launch payloads into polar or retrograde orbits, and I believe that ties in directly with the launch site that's being used for any particular mission, right?
Right. So if you have been following us for a while, we have launched our previous rockets out of Kodiak, Alaska, the Pacific Spaceport Complex, Alaska, and that location, which is a very high latitude, is great for reaching high inclination orbits, including polar and SSO. So yes, we can reach polar orbits, and technically those retrograde would be flying launching against the direction of Earth's rotation. So there's nothing really to prevent us from doing that either. But we're focused on the objectives that our customers want to achieve, and a lot of that is driven by our launch locations. So while our Kodiak launch site has been great at helping us reach high inclination orbits, this launch site in Cape Canaveral is really wonderful for reaching mid-inclination orbits, which are particularly important for things like communication and weather observation, where you can get more coverage over the middle portion of the globe.
Another launch site
Даже
question here
больше,
from
чем
Matt. Could
покупок, блин.
Rocket 3 launch from a boat at sea?
That's a very interesting question. I'll talk a little bit more about our approach to our launch infrastructure. So everything that you see in front of you here can be shipped inside a shipping container. And so no launches at sea at this time, but it does make it very easy for us to set up and deploy a launch site. And even the rocket itself is 43 feet from tip to tail.
Ты
So
тут,
that
Влад?
fits inside a 45-foot shipping container, a bit snugly, but it is one of the key differences about Astra, where we can ship everything to the launch site, and really all we need when we get there is a concrete pad, an internet connection, and a fence to help keep the area safe.
And we have another question in chat asking about, again, kind of related to launch sites. A lot of launch site questions, which is good, because first launch from Cape
Алло,
Canaveral
ты
is on
где?
topic. Does
Ты
each
где?
vehicle get built slightly differently
Что-то
according
не
to where
будешь
it's
смотреть?
going to end up eventually launch from?
That's a great question. And no, that is one of the things
Ясно.
that helps us
Кого?
on our path to scale and really
А,
improve life on Earth
ясненько.
by
Ну ладно.
improving access to launch. So the rockets
Мгм.
are built as identically
Хорошо.
as possible.
Да?
We may make small tweaks in between because our objective
В
is also
8, ой, в
to learn and
9:10
improve our system.
трансляция
However,
начинается,
those
а в
at this point
11 полет,
those have
по
been
идее.
pretty minor, especially given the success
Ну, они же
of the
подготавливают все это
LV
дело.
007
Погода
launch back
хорошая у
in
них
November.
сегодня.
So we do make
О.
the rockets identical. It doesn't matter where they are
Через
launching from.
час,
They
ну,
are
я, может, сам тебе позвоню,
exactly the
взлетела или
same.
не
The only
взлетела.
differences may
Давай.
be any changes in our communication systems to ensure compatibility with the specific range
5:52,
and any
53.
special payload adapters that we need for that specific mission. Otherwise, it's the same rocket regardless of where we are launching from.
And looking at the launch site a little more closely here, we have a question that we should have known we were going to have, although this is an interesting interpretation of this question. What are the pylons that look like they'd attract lightning for? Well, you pretty much got halfway there. Actually, on this particular camera view, on the very left-hand side, you can see the bottom part of one of the lightning protection towers, and they are there, like you said, to attract lightning. It helps protect the rocket. Space Launch Complex 46 has two big prominent lightning
А то.
towers seen here as well.
Ждем, пока
The
полетит.
rocket. But of course, this pad is actually built
Акции
for
надо,
rockets.
чтобы выросли до
It's one of the smaller
5,6.
pads at Cape Canaveral, but still built for rockets that were
Привет,
traditionally
привет.
bigger than Rocket 3. So Rocket 3 is just barely poking
Как
out
думаете,
of the
полетит
shell.
или не полетит?
Even this pad makes Astra's rocket look small.
Я
It's
думаю, что
very
полетит,
small
главное, чтобы она
size.
долетела. Тут
Another
одно
question
дело
here,
взлететь, а другое дело
Paul
приземлиться.
asks, is what makes Astra different from its competitors? What strengths do they have that other providers maybe don't have?
That is a wonderful question. And Astra, our mission
Привет,
is to
привет.
improve life on Earth from space.
Не
And the way we're
доходит
hoping to do that
до
is
отметки
by
5,6, сейчас
developing the most
курс
responsive
5.56.
and affordable orbital
Нужно,
launch
чтобы
system.
поднялась 5.61.
So in terms of
Это моя
responsiveness,
цель на
what we were just
сегодняшний
talking
день.
about with our ground support equipment fitting in shipping containers, being easily able to set up and
Как
tear
обычно
down
сейчас.
a launch site in a matter
Не,
of
полетит-то полетит, а вот
weeks
главное,
or
чтобы она
days.
долетела куда
That's
надо.
one of our key
Опа,
advantages. And the reason that that's important, as we mentioned, is that
5,61.
a lot of the
Опа-джа.
orbital destinations that you can reach depend on where you can launch from. So being
А вот
able
и
to
цель
be
моя
mobile
достигнута.
and agile helps us to provide customers with access to the locations they want. The system is also really set up by a very small
Купил
team
по
of folks on the
4,5,
ground,
когда обвал
by
был.
a small team of
Успел
mission
ухватить.
control and
Продал сейчас
support engineers in
5,61.
our
Ну,
facility, which
одну
allows
треть
us to be
продал.
really
О,
nimble, but it's also
5,62
really
поперло.
helpful during the COVID-19 pandemic, where it's allowed us to remain as safe as possible and to
Дороговастенько,
travel.
5,34.
And finally, on
Теперь
on
надо
the
уравнять.
affordability front, we take pride in using low-cost materials and trying to lower the cost of access to space.
У
with
меня
our
средняя
vehicle, and I believe that, Thomas,
4,73.
you had a tour with our facility with our head of production, and that's been an exciting thing to learn a little bit more about.
Я еще
how
заболел,
we
блин,
go
неудачно. Тут
through,
еще в ночь
the steps to make our
решили
system
они
as
ракету запустить, блин, нет бы днем.
affordable and low cost as possible, including staying away from fancy materials like carbon fiber and
Все падать
composites,
начала.
and using as much automation as we can across our system.
Хорошее количество, 307 штук. У меня всего лишь там 150 штук.
Higher up in the production side of things at Astra, who gave us NASA Spaceflight a tour of the rocket factory a little while ago. It is on the NASA Spaceflight channel. I highly recommend checking that out because it's a.
Вот надо было ловить момент, когда до 3,7 поднималась. 1500. Ну, как обычно, сейчас время замрет где-нибудь на 20 минутах. Но я увидел 1,5 штуки, охренеть. А по какому курсу? 4,86, нормально. Да. Каждый цент на счету.
Yes, exactly. That's right. We take a number of steps in order to make our system as cost effective as we possibly can.
Субтитры нельзя здесь сделать. Раньше можно было, а сейчас делаю субтитры, они не появляются. Ух ты! Курс-то вырос 5,66. Не дождался, ну ладно. 5,65.
The question is, what's today's trajectory? Is it flying direct east or somewhere else? I believe we even have a graphic to show where the rocket will be headed, and there it is, right on cue.
Прям жестко
Yes,
прыгает.
so this is the trajectory that the rocket will follow. There will be
Где-то я это уже видел. Траекторию.
Are the NOTMARs, the notices to mariners, the area that boats will keep away from, and then the red area is sort of our safe area that we have cleared with the FAA. So after the rocket clears this trajectory, we'll be flying, starting to swing around towards the south again, flying over Portugal, Spain, the Sahara Desert, Ethiopia. So we'll be hoping for a nominal trajectory as we launch out of Cape Canaveral.
А в Тинькове правда биржу закрывали, да? Я просто... Ой, в Тинькове, в ВТБ. Я просто в Тинькове. Плюс 98 с 1,5 штуки?
Highly recommend taking a look at this launch because the weather does appear to be pretty favorable for launch viewing.
Как-то слабовато. Если у меня с моими-то плюс 83. 5,69.
Near Jetty Park, and that is a really great viewing location, the best one for Complex 46, because that launch complex is actually on the southern tip of Cape Canaveral, pretty close to the
А, 307.
А,
ну да, 307, все правильно. С курсом-то 5,34.
If you are not local here to the Space Coast, we are, of course, thank you for tuning into the webcast. Happy to provide you with the views of the launch of this way. And we have a question from Sean.
Тут два плана. Чтобы полетело-долетело, тогда в рост пойдет. Либо полетело и не долетело, тогда упадет, можно будет покупать. Поэтому стратегий здесь много. Что именно надо будет думать. Как обычно, стоит продать, так они в гору идут.
the sort of top right-hand side of your screen, that is the fairing, and we will hopefully see very shortly after the main engine cutoff, we will have stage separation and fairing separation, and
Новые
those fairings
снимки.
will pop open, and we'll have a beautiful view of Earth as the upper stage ignites to complete the final leg of the mission. And
Нормально.
this is a view looking
300
upwards
штук,
at
средняя
our
506.
payloads. So we'll be
150 штук, средняя
assessing them as they
4
deploy after SECO or
4,7. Ха.
Love seeing those onboard views. We're hoping to keep those throughout the course of the broadcast and show those as much as we can. We've also got these ground cameras, of course, and with perfect visibility, hopefully we'll get some good views from
Привет,
them as
привет.
well. I do have a question from
А,
Planetary Space.
плохо
who's
видно.
talking about the most recent
Второй
update
монитор
Scrub.
маленький
If you
для
tuned
чата.
in earlier, this is not the first launch attempt, like we said. This is the third attempt for this particular mission. And last time there was that scrub due to that telemetry issue that the teams had to stand down to resolve prior to coming back today. But we saw that abort happen right at engine ignition. So the question
Вот и
is,
опять упало
what do the
5,7.
teams
А,
have to
не,
kind of work
подождите.
through when you light a rocket engine and then scrub?
Бля,
Could the engine
выстреливает,
be
будь
damaged
здоров.
from an abort like that, or other systems that have to be inspected and things?
Sure. So first, to speak a little bit about
Сейчас
the abort
звоночек
that
надо
happened
сделать.
on Monday. Our team conducted a data review after our engines lit, and we learned that the abort was due to the rocket detecting latency in
Видела
our
5,7.
internal telemetry communication, and it was a
У
bit
тебя
longer
насколько
than we
стоит?
typically experience. We determined that it was unlikely to have impacted flight, but felt that it needed
Понятненько.
further
Ну
review.
ладно, давай.
And after this review, the team was able to
Теперь надо,
identify
чтобы
the probable
5,8 было.
cause and potential effects, and run some simulations to determine that an impact to flight was unlikely, and also test some adjustments to improve the latency of
Никто
the
не знает,
system,
как
in
включить
preparation for our
субтитры.
launch attempt today. So we believe we have solved that issue.
Я парился,
And
не
now, more
получается.
directly to the question, our system is actually designed for multiple
Но если
ignition
запустят ракету, сразу взлетит.
events. So
А главное
we complete a
дождаться
static
момента,
fire
когда
at
она
our
куда надо
last
прилетит.
phase
Если она не
test of
прилетит
the
куда
full
надо,
system. Essentially, we run through our entire countdown
по
procedure,
6,9.
load propellants, light the engines, and run them for a few seconds, and essentially do everything except
6,9, ну до 6,9 может не дойти.
So we do
Тут ставят
design the
6,8
system
в
to
основном.
be
Ну, я
able
ставил
to,
6,9.
multiple ignition attempts, multiple launch attempts without damage.
Хочу, чтобы 13 стало.
Issue.
Excellent. We're actually hearing that teams are
Хотя
getting
бы
into flight
13.
software config loads now. So let's go back
Думаю,
in and list
через
the
полугодика она
27,
станет 13.
27 minutes and counting.
Хомяков многих отбросили
Alpha. Good load.
с падом-то.
Bravo 175 Victor 15.
Loading config
Ну,
175.
дешевле не будет, она будет расти в любом случае. Если у них сейчас все удачно получится, то она более-менее зафиксируется. А если она в следующий раз упадет,
176 Victor 15.
20 баксов,
Loading config 176
ну,
Victor 15 on engine
но не
start.
через полгода. Там, как, смотря сколько будут ракет запускать
Load.
в месяц.
Engine Delta 177 Victor 15.
Loading config 177
Вот уже
Victor
5,65.
15 engine delta. Good load.
Engine Echo
27 минут еще осталось. Ну, хотя бы время не останавливают.
Loading config 178 Victor 17 on engine
Ну, кстати,
Echo.
надо на покупку поставить.
Good load.
Ether, please provide an updated late load config if you have one.
Ether late load config 183 Victor 8.
Loading config 183 Victor 8.
Как думаете, если не взлетит, какая цена будет на нее?
GNC, do we have a late load config?
Yes. 5 Victor 148.
Loading config 5 Victor 148 on guidance. Good load.
Tango in VV1, turn on off PDBs. Please run a GNC setup.
количество
GNC
какое?
call out when complete.
Toggling GNC setup.
Четыре, 5. Ну, я думаю, побольше. Ой, побольше, поменьше. Вспомните, что было. 85. О, 83. До 4 должно. 4,5 она... Извините, болею. 4,5 она зафиксируется также. А всплеск-то будет, опять стопы сработают. И она резко бомбанет. И главное в определенный момент успеть ее взять. По этой цене. По этой цене. Если она упадет. Мне вообще хорошо слышно, а то может громче меня разговаривает. Тестирование не делал. Почему бы 4 не купить?
Blanking on my UTC math at the moment, but we do have a 60-minute launch window. If we encounter an abort or an issue, our recycle time is typically around 15 minutes once that issue is resolved, so there is a possibility that we would be able to try again in the event of an abort. But again, everything looks nominal at the moment, so we are not anticipating any issues at this time.
Так.
If I use the time you took to answer that question to do some math in my head, I think that translates to 2000 UTC to 2100
А вдруг
UTC.
выстрелит?
For those of us watching, or those of you watching from across the globe, thanks for tuning in, and that is our launch window for today. I have another question here from Santosh, who asks, what engine does the rocket use? And I'll just expand that really quick, because I believe we have a cool view of all the different components of this rocket. Carolina,
вот она и остановилась. Опять купля-продажа идет. Сейчас через 23 минуты ад начнется.
We'll start from the left. That is the engine bay. You can see 3 out of our 5 first Delphin engines. They are electric pump-fed engines, each producing a thrust of 6,500 pounds for a total of 32,500 pounds of thrust on the first stage. The next large section is the first stage tanks, and those are filled with LOX and kerosene, liquid oxygen and kerosene, which are our propellants for both stages of the vehicle. The next section is our inner stage, which houses the large portion of the upper stage and our avionics system. Then further right, we have those 2 spherical tanks and the smaller engine with the long nozzle extension. That is our upper stage. Again, the upper stage is filled with LOX and kerosene, just like the first stage, and we have 1 pressure-fed ether engine, which produces 740 pounds of thrust. And then finally, you see those 2 split halves of the fairing. And on top, we have of the upper stage, you can see an example of a CubeSat payload. Again, today it represents Astra's first mission deploying customer payloads into orbit, so we will be keeping an eye for that fairing separation and the payload.
Надо было график вывести на YouTube, ну, чтобы видно было, какой курс сейчас идет. Опять охлаждают ее.
The current time is T-minus 22 minutes and counting, and all systems are nominal. Let's listen in to the activity on the countdown net as the teams continue to prepare for liftoff in just under 22 minutes.
Это что такое?
Сколько?
Еще 20 минут. 20 минут и запуск. Надеюсь. Все болеем за то, чтобы она взлетела. Хоть раз. Нормально, удачно. Чтобы прирост денег был в акциях. А на Галю? Галю кто-нибудь покупал? Галактику Вирджиния. Я ее взял, когда она была 7 баксов. Там 7 с копейкой.
Takes us to final igniter checks. Per step 133, Tango. On the buttons interface, please toggle spark for 30 seconds. Upon completion, Delphin, please provide results of spark test.
Toggling spark now.
Считанные секунды остались. Потом заморозят на 10 минутах время. Пройдет еще минут 40. А потом только скажут: извините, опять что-то не получилось.
Toggling off spark.
Что? А, ну я же слушаю себя. Блин, еще бы не кашлял. Простыл. Сейчас.
Please confirm results of spark test.
Delphin confirms good spark.
Copy, thank you.
And you just heard a good spark test, so igniter tests have been completed, and the countdown steps are proceeding nominally. We're just about to cross T-minus 19 minutes and counting. Everything going well so far. What you were listening there was the mission control teams in Alameda, California, working through those countdown steps. And Kaylina, can you walk us through who those team members are and their various responsibilities today?
Sure. So we just have this graphic that has popped up with their names. We'll start from the top left today. So we have Rose Jornalis, who's our flight safety. The flight safety officer is responsible for making sure that we are following our trajectory. Then Christopher Rossi is our GNC, guidance, navigation, control, or trajectory. So he's the one who is keeping an eye on our winds and making sure that we are safe to launch and follow our planned path.
5.69 уже.
Gauthier
Ну,
is
так
our
же, в
vehicle
принципе.
controller, who with the call sign of Tango, and she is the one who is doing the steps to load the software on the vehicle. She's the one who is the operator of our launch system. Chris May is our command and data handling, or CDH, and he's responsible for monitoring and adjusting any of our state machines which operate our system. Hill Hudson is our flight activities officer, or FAO, and he's responsible for documenting the completion of our procedure. Chris Hoffman is our flight director, who oversees and directs launch vehicle operations following the countdown manual, and he can call hold, recycle, or abort as required. And then we don't have a tag for Eric Steinberg, known as Steiny, who is our IT and network point person. You may also hear, as we move through the countdown, the go no go poll, which is coming shortly. We have
Не вырастет она до 5.8 сегодня. Только если при удачном взлете.
On the vehicle and our ground support equipment, who are distributed throughout our factory floor at their desks and monitoring all of their systems there.
In addition to those teams at Alameda, there's another team out in Cape Canaveral, code known as the Red Team. And can you tell us a little bit about who's out there for us?
Yes, we have a very small and nimble team known as the Red Team out at Cape Canaveral. They're the ones who set up the launch site, do any work required to configure the vehicle and the ground support equipment for flight. And we are very grateful for them and hope they're enjoying the beautiful Florida weather, which is much nicer than it would be in Kodiak this time of year. We have Ryan Hirschfeld, our safety officer. Adam Frisch is our red lead. Robert Freeman, Eric Larson, Sam Hirschfeld, Benjamin Whelan.
Сейчас перезагружу.
Our red team. And then we also have, in addition to Steiny, on
Я понял, но обновлю.
we have the work that they do on the ground at our launch site. They are taking regular COVID-19 tests to protect the health and safety of everyone involved in this mission. Thank you all. Huge shout out to you.
For sure. Right now, 15.5 minutes to go. Again, everything on track so far. At the T-minus 15-minute mark, there will be the entering of terminal count. And that is going to be a big milestone. There'll be some other steps right after that as the teams get into that terminal
15 минут
count, followed by a go-no-go poll just over 10
до
minutes to
взлета.
go in the countdown. So let's go ahead, listen into the countdown net. We should have a water test incoming and then entering terminal count.
Меня чувак с ирокезом прикалывает. Глаза на мониторе.
Takes us into Astra terminal count this time, step 142. Tango, confirm that in AV1 managed power systems, we are in ground power system authority.
Confirm.
Tango in VB1 turn on off PDBs, please run a
Полетит,
GNC
полетит.
self-test. GNC call out upon completion.
Куда она денется?
Running GNC self-test.
We'll go.
3 раза переносили. 1 раз не взлетело. Сейчас у них нет варианта. Если опять не взлетит, то все плохо будет. Нужно было цену сбить, они ее сбили. Теперь будут запускать ее. Тем более еще и погода хорошая. Коптит, правда, мало. Раньше коптило больше. Вот если до 10 минут дойдет и дальше продолжится, значит все в порядке. Если опять начнут тормозить ее, ну значит опять что-то не так будет. Тогда акции поплывут вниз.
GNC self-test passed.
Copy. Astra Safety, confirm that FTS is still enabled and nominal in the vehicle.
Safety can confirm.
Tango.
Не понял, 5.62 сейчас что ли?
As the teams get into terminal count here, let's take a look at the mission timeline of all the events we'll expect to see after liftoff. Carolina?
Sure. Well, before liftoff, just a few seconds before, the 5 first stage Dolphin engines will light, and at
Virginia.
all of the checks pass, we will have liftoff.
Ну
The
да.
roll-down mechanisms will release the vehicle,
Но
and
ее отложили, там же ну, она полетит, потому что там кого-то готовят специально, спонсоров хороших. Поэтому без вариантов. В любом случае полетит. Ее просто больше всех пиарили, поэтому она полетит. Но зато если она взлетит с людьми, и это, ну, все пройдет успешно, то в дальнейшем, если люди будут бабки туда вкладывать, то у нее ценник взлетит. Только за год может все что угодно поменяться, и акции упадут, и поднимутся. Сейчас смысла нету брать. Ее ж сильно пиарили. Зато этих запусков должно было за месяц только. Алло. Да. 5.61. Ну, она, смотрю, прыгала, думаю, ладно, пусть будет хотя бы так. Мало ли что будет. Думаю, у меня плюс-минусом эти центы не играли, он 5.73 сейчас уже идет. Угу. Да. Ну, Вирджиния, да, на долгосрок, понятное дело, это же все будет, в любом случае люди в космос полетят и будет это все развиваться. Поэтому ее сейчас брать просто, ну, как бы целый год еще, время есть. Во сколько полетит? По идее, через 11 минут полетит. Надеюсь, что полетит, а там, как обычно, что-то произойдет или в туалет кто-то захочет.
Fuel 1 FV300 upper
Как
fill.
отчет начнут говорить
Activating fuel 1
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, так
300
и
upper
акции
fill.
поползут. Либо вверх, либо вниз.
Fuel 1 FV200 first fill.
Deactivating fuel 1 FV200 first fill.
Deactivate AV1 radios
Deactivating AV1 radios.
and AV1
Проверяю.
rocket support cart.
Deactivating AV1 rocket support cart.
Please confirm zero stop purging is still enabled.
Confirmed.
AV1 manage polling.
Confirmed.
Так.
AV1 manage power systems.
Confirmed.
The helium stack.
Confirmed.
Please activate igniter 1 spark test.
Да, должны, конечно, куда она денется.
Igniter 1 spark
Говорю, главное, чтобы она взлетела,
VV1
и главное, чтобы долетела. Одно дело запустить, другое дело прилететь. Поэтому
VV1
надеюсь, что все удачно
upper
будет.
stage power.
Confirmed.
VV1 turn on off PDBs.
Confirmed.
Water 1 water system.
Confirmed.
Tango, please activate launch machine.
Мгм.
Activating launch machine.
Так, это нормально. Так, сейчас зайду, проверю, что там. Ох, сейчас по такой сумме покупать их.
With launch activated, please toggle locks topping.
Это да. Хм.
Toggling on lock stopping.
Okay, team, this brings us step 151. Poll for tank pressurization and launch today. After this point, any system issue must be called as a 3-word hold. That is a hold, hold, hold over the net. If there are no concerns for flight, call go. Otherwise, call
Так,
no go.
Вирджиния. Вирджиния, кстати, тоже упала сегодня. Поднималась на 40
Yes.
центов. Опять упала.
Dolphin,
Dolphin is go.
Ether,
Ether is go.
Odin,
5,7.
Inco,
Inco is go.
Ace,
Ace is go.
Время не остановили, по-любому полетит.
Orbit,
Orbit is go.
Чем ближе время, тем больше нервы шалят.
Fluency,
GNC is go.
FAO,
FAO is go.
CDH,
CDH is go.
Tango,
Tango is go.
Safety,
Safety is go.
Flight is go. Tango and AV1 manage polling. Please toggle do only ground.
Toggling do only ground polling.
And let me know when you're ready to load flight engine sequences.
Ready.
Dolphin, please provide.
Так, ну, все готовы
Sequence is
выпить
703,
травки.
Victor 3.
Loading sequence
С удовольствием бы выпил.
703 Victor 3 on igniter. Good load.
Пять. Вот начали акции падать. 5,63.
860, Victor 1.
Loading
Боятся
sequence
люди.
860 Victor 1 on engine alpha. Good load.
Engine Bravo 861, Victor 1.
Loading sequence 861 Victor 1 on engine Bravo. Good load.
Engine Charlie 862, Victor 1.
Loading sequence 862 Victor 1 on engine Charlie.
Тут еще погрешность же. Она-то в любом случае полетит раньше на пару секунд, чем трансляция будет идти. И в этом-то весь и прикол, что если что-то произойдет,
Good load.
кто успеет, тот успеет. А кто не успеет, тот опять
Victor 1.
проиграет.
Sequence 864 Victor 1
7
on
минут.
engine
7 минут
Alpha.
осталось. Ужас.
Good load.
Ether, what can we load for you?
Ether sequence today 842 Victor 3, please.
Loading sequence 842 Victor
5,65
rinse and repeat
курс. О,
on ether.
еще и задержка.
Good load.
Хотя не
Tango and
нормально.
AV1 manage polling. Set us back into do both ground and guidance polling mode.
5,62.
Alright, you just heard the teams have pulled go for launch and are into the final steps before liftoff. Carolina, this mission is about to lift off. What is the purpose of this mission? One more for people who are just joining us.
If you are just joining us, Astra is looking to deploy 4 CubeSats
Ого.
on this mission. Bama 1 from the University of
5,56. Обвал пошел. Еще даже ничего не пришло, а люди уже начали продавать.
Inca, ionospheric neutron content
5,57.
analyzer from New Mexico State University Las Cruces, which is a scientific investigation mission studying the neutron spectrum in low Earth orbit for the first time. CubeSat from University of California, Berkeley, a technology demonstration to test and characterize the effect of space condition on quantum gyroscopes using nitrogen vacancy centers in Diamond, and R5S1 from NASA's Johnson Space Center, Houston, demonstrating a fast and cost-effective way to build successful CubeSats. These are being launched on the Alana 41 mission, which is selected through NASA's
Кто хотел продать, кто успел продать за 5,7?
under a Venture Class Launch Services Demonstration 2 contract, which provides dedicated launch capabilities for smaller launch payloads awarded by NASA's Launch Services Program. So we are very thankful to our partners at NASA for providing us the opportunity to complete this mission for our 4 CubeSat payloads.
Coming up on T-minus 5 minutes and counting, we're going to go ahead and listen back into the teams as they work through the final
Напряженка 5 минут осталось.
And we'll be looking forward to a liftoff again. Liftoff targeted for 3 o'clock
5 минут.
time, which is just under 5 minutes from now, and everything on track so far.
Нормально. Половину 700, 750 что ли сбросил? Это ты к обвалу готовишься, да, если рухнет? То чтобы можно было опять купить.
You can see the crew at our Astra headquarters gathering to watch the launch.
Почему ты ее брал? 5.
Very jealous of Thomas, who will be
А,
stepping away from his
486,
desk
нормально
for
ты
a
срубил.
moment and hopefully watching our launch in person.
4 минуты. Всем прям настроены, готовы. Как будто реально запустят. Нормально, нормально. Почти 800. Нехило. Так извини, у тебя их было 1,5 штуки, еще бы. Поднялось на $1, считай. $5.64 курс. Три минуты. Ах. Фу. Оно тогда нагнетало. Шок у всех был.
Until T0 of the Alana 41 mission.
Угу. Не, я стоп поставил ниже. Не думаю, если что-то произойдет, то она упадет ниже. 2 минуты, так. Да, я знаю. Так. Полторы минуты.
Чайник заварим.
5.65 курс.
Ace at this time, start PSD recordings and downrange ground station recordings. Good work.
Минута осталась. Я поставил стоп 4,5.
45, first stage coming up to liftoff pressures. Tanks are pressurized at this time. 30 seconds.
$20 секунд. Ну чё?
15,
10 секунд.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5,
Пошла жара.
0.
Полетела. Полетела, блядь. И акции полетели вверх.
LV0008 has launched and is
Так, теперь ей надо долететь. О, акции уже поперла.
milestones on the left side of your screen, as well as the velocity.
6. Кто хотел 6,1 продать?
Next objective is max Q.
Так, теперь главное, чтобы до цели долетело. Такое волнение. Сейчас, прикиньте, и взорвется.
Ну, не каркай.
Слушайте, ракета полетела, обвал произошел жесткий, просто жесткий.
Мысль обвал.
Обвал валюты опять произошел.
Почему?
Ну, он вырос до 6 и упал. Жестко причем.
Куда она летит?
Я тебя плохо слышу. Наушники. Так я же говорю, цена вроде это взлетела, а потом раз и обвалилась. Кто ставил на 5,2? Стоп. Волнительный момент, все ждут, когда же она прилетит.
А куда она должна прилететь?
Ля, опять... Что?
Куда должна прилететь?
Прилететь куда должна? Ну...
Она ж спутники везет.
Should have passed
Да.
the max Q.
Ну, оборудование.
All systems on the vehicle are nominal.
И чё?
And we are
Че,
tracking
все, мы больше ничего не увидим.
Она падает?
Нет. Она, по идее, сбросить должна была.
for MECO or main engine cutoff at T
Она
plus 2
сейчас
minutes
в
and
Россию
50 seconds.
взорвет.
Ты че такое шутишь? Ля,
Я
ля.
не шучу, как она падает.
Да она не падает, она должна на орбиту
Your
вылететь.
skies have provided a great view of LV0008 so far.
В орбиту зайти и там должна. Она никуда не падает. 5,52. Вообще ценник какой-то упал. Странно. За семерочку, за шестерочку завалила и опять обвал. Пошел. Все. 2883 метра, 77 километров. Блин, на этом не видно сейчас. Там вон, высота ее.
Copy.
3953.
That call out of the option means that the system will safely be able
5,5.
to ignite the upper stage after
О,
our stage separation. And that was MECO or main engine cutoff.
ля.
Да я вижу, вижу. Это отстыковка сейчас.
That was fairing separation and stage
Ну,
separation.
это сбросил.
And you can see that the upper stage ether
is
engine
running.
has lit.
Все удачно произошло.
Я же сказала.
Ля как падает ценник. Все сбрасывают. 5,35. Так.
Opening FV 200A, opening FV 300A.
Ценник прям скидывается. Угу.
Opening OV 202.
Ну, наконец-то она полетела, долетела, надеюсь, до своей цели. Все, она вышла на орбиту. Я так понял. Ура! Всех
Или
поздравляю.
вылетела.
Ну, а по идее там что-то 8 минут было написано, должно было лететь. Ну, раньше времени даже долетел. Так, это значит... Ну, результаты какие будут? Ого, видели? До 5 дошел доллар. За доллар. Опять на доллар просто упало. Хоть за 5 покупай. Просто продажа колоссальная пошла. Дойдет до 4,5. Когда, кстати, следующий полет? Сейчас покупать начнут. До 8 минут, когда дойдет таймер их, значит, ну там же написано было 8 минут. Ай-яй-яй, попер вверх опять. Бля, вверх пошел. Все начали за 5 покупать. Бля, ух, взлетело. Жесть. Что творится опять с акциями? Ты удивился от курса? Надо было за 5 покупать. Он уже 5,5 стоит. Тут не угадаешь. Сначала все продают резко по цене, которая была. Потом все покупают по цене, которая упала. И не знаешь, где ее низ, где ее верх. Сейчас еще 2 минуты и скажут результат. Блин, надо было за 5 купить. Да, ракета полетела, она уже, по идее, на орбите должна быть.
Почему-то все это, что-то F.
А чё произошло? А что произошло?
Не знаю. Да, жалко. Чё за херня?
А что, оборвалось, что ли? Что-то опять случилось. Не, 5. За 5 брать не буду. 4,5 упадет, возьму. Сколько такая одна ракета стоит? Миллионов. Что пишут? Опять что?
По-английски пишут.
По 5,8.
То есть это что нам камеры не показывают?
Уже нет.
Game over.
Game over?
Game over.
Так, Симба, не грызи. Еще по 5,8. По 4,8, а то по 5,8 как-то все это печально. Если ты продал по 5,8 еще 800, то это ништяк. И купил еще по 5. То считаешь, срубил. Ну, уже курс 5. То есть она опять упала до 5. Четыре и 9. Поперла вниз. Так, а у меня там стоит на сколько? 4,8 курс. 4,7. Бля, что-то она прям это... По наклонной. А ну-ка, стопэ. Отмена. Отмена. 4,6.
Thanks for
4,5. Я тоже так понял, что неудачно. 4... Блядь, чё вы пугаете? 4,3. Сколько? 75. Сейчас опять взлетит цена. Блин, не хочется по 4,8 брать. Все, пошла вверх. Четыре девять. У них прям борьба жесткая. Хотя продажи идут. И покупки. Ой. Надо было в банк идти за 6, продавать все. А потом покупать за 4,5. Так что там инфа есть? Ни новости, ничего не говорят. Есть инфа?
Сообщают, что они попали
Сейчас.
в 3 спутника Маска.
Алло. Нормально, стримлю. Да. Сейчас инфу узнаю. Не, она взлетела, она улетела, акции взлетели до 6,1, а потом резко упали до 4,5. Вот, поэтому тут сейчас показания. Потом позвоним. Давай. Так, что говоришь?
Не знаю, комментарии непонятны. Ребятки, не спешите продавать в панике.
Это да. Продажа на 5, ну да. Значит, падать сейчас будет. Если упадет до 4,5, наверное, еще возьму. Сколько продал. Все равно в любом случае они сейчас тестируют это все дело, хотя по идее должно было полететь. Ну, точнее, удачно все быть. Печаль, печаль. Мы не отчаиваемся. 4,7. В натуре казино. Как в рулетке, даже хлеще. Продал за 6, купил за 4. Вот тебе $2 с каждого акции. Вот это вот наварик. А если купил еще 800, то можно 1600 просто как с куста сорвать.
And thank you for standing by with us. Unfortunately, we heard that an issue has been experienced during flight that prevented the delivery of our customer payloads to orbit today.
У меня субтитры не работают.
Sorry to our customers, NASA, the University of Alabama, the University of New Mexico, and the University of California, Berkeley. More information will be provided as we complete a data review, and you can follow along for updates on Twitter at Astra as well as on our website, astra.com.
Yeah, everyone, thank you for tuning in for today's
О, 4,2. Вы ценник смотрите. 4,1. Блять. Ой.
But thank you all so much for watching, and stay tuned for more information. But we'll see you later. Thanks, everybody.
4 до 4 упало. Покупайте быстрее, до 4 упало. Трэш. 3,9. Блин, я за 4,4 купил. Ну что ж такое, мне вообще как казино в натуре. 3,9. Понятно. 3,8. Жесть. Да ладно, 3,7 будет. Короче, ладно. Всем спасибо, кто делился своими эмоциями. У меня сейчас эмоции жесткие. 3,7. 3,7. Так, стоп, а я купил или не купил? Я купил. Да, жесть, в минус ушел. В 2 раза упала цена. От 6. Ценник, видите, 3,6. 3,6. Походу биржу приостановили. У меня телефон завис. Киты, да. Все. 3,5. Ёпа. Сейчас ценник резко взлетит. Сейчас начнут жестко покупать по такой цене. Все. Всем спасибо. Увидимся в следующий запуск ракеты. Надеюсь, он произойдет скоро. О, расти начала. Говорил же, стоп надо ставить было на 4 хотя бы. Че? Угу. Угу. 4. Все, вверх поперло. Кто успел, тот купил. Покупай, чувак, который там продавал 800 штук. В 2 раза поднимешь. Ладно, все, всем пока.